Good morning, everybody. Happy Tuesday to you. It is April 8th, 2025, and here are all the stories I have for your rush hour ride to work. We got Dave Coulier coming off of his cancer treatment, now talking about the support he got from his friends. I'll share that clip. And what is a bear market anyway? I'll share that information. We can all learn a little something during these turbulent times. And also the White Lotus finale. I'm not going to spoil it for you, but we'll discuss it. We'll hear what some of the actors had to say. And the Blake Lively story that we covered yesterday, the one where she's back friends with Taylor Swift. As it turns out, it may be that story was planted, or is this one planted, or are they all planted? I'll have it either way. And then Dave Portnoy discussing losing $20 million in the last couple days due to the bear market. And again, we'll talk about all of the different things going on with this turbulent stock market. Plus, the dire wolf is back. If they can bring back the dire wolf from tens of thousands of years ago, can they bring back the economy from 75 days ago? We'll have to see. We'll have all these stories and more coming up right now on The Rush. Well, you know me, I like to start on a good animal story, and Time Magazine is sharing this photo. It's Remus, a dire wolf, the first to exist in over 10,000 years. Endangered species could be changed forever. Now, of course, we've been talking about this company. It's actually a Texas-based company, and they are bringing sexy back. No, excuse me. They're bringing extinct animals back. Could they just bring back my New England Patriots from about 10 years ago? Jeez, bring me back Tom Brady and his glory days, or even me in my glory days, something like that. Either way, Colossal Biosciences said it has brought back an extinct animal, and boy, don't you wish we could hear what a dire wolf sounds like? Well, have I got a treat for you. Here it is, the first dire wolf howls in over 10,000 years. And for those of you guys listening on the audio-only podcast, this is a cute, good boy puppy dire wolf. Have a listen. There it is. Now, I probably just pissed off some people watching from home. Maybe that made your cat run into a closet. I don't really know. Or your dog's barking. But either way, one more time. Here it is. The puppy direwolf. All right. And again, is this good? Are we playing God? I don't really know. God created humans and humans learned how to get the dire wolf. So I guess we are allowed the dire wolf. He must have existed before Noah's Ark. Maybe they didn't allow him. Maybe the dire wolf never made it onto the Ark. I don't really know why they went extinct, but I guess they're coming back. All right. Well, here's a happy story. It is Dave Coulier. Cut it out, right? Our favorite uncle, or one of them from Full House. Well, he's, I guess, no longer has cancer. That was his latest prognosis. But here he is talking about his good friend, John Stamos, who, showed up to surprise him in a bald cap, and people got upset online because he didn't actually cut his hair, even though, of course, he had a movie commitment, so he couldn't do that. But here's Dave Coulier just letting us know how dumb the internet is and that he's cool with his friend. Have a listen.
The hate when John Stamos posted that photoshopped photo of him in a bald cap.
I just thought, wait a second, this is my friend. He's doing something so supportive, and we were sharing something so personal, and for people to just try and stomp on it with negativity was it was very perplexing. I realized how people can pull things out of context and turn it into something very negative.
Yeah.
And I think that that's more a comment about where we are as a society right now. This is about a really horrible disease, and this is us laughing our way through it. And that's how we're going to get through this.
And good for Dave Coulier for just mentioning. And I try to bring light to this, but I still fall prey to it every once in a while. I'll see a 1-star review and I'll spiral. It happens to the best of us. What we need to remember is not everyone deserves the megaphone that they have. And if we could just get some artificial intelligence to lop off the 2% on the crazy side in either direction and the reasonable people. I mean, it's almost like traffic, right? You never notice the people that drive normal. You just notice the a-hole zigging between the lines. why is he driving fast? Maybe he's on his way to the zoo to see the direwolf exhibit. We don't know. But the point is, if we could just pay less attention to the rude folks, but that's what happened. Of course, you took a nice, good moment and they made it something else that it didn't need to be. All right. Well, speaking of nice moments gone, Brooks Nader and Gleb Savchenko have called it off for the 17th time, I guess. No one cares anymore. Yeah, sure, they're hot, but you only have so much patience. It's like I wanted them to work out, but now that they're not, it's like I couldn't care less. Either way, it's come to a screeching halt and they've split, at least as of the recording of this podcast. They fluctuate more than the markets. You know what I mean? Who knows? Either way, they bang like direwolves. I don't know. Is that a thing? Today's episode is sponsored by Direwolf. All right. Now, listen, you guys know I've been pimping for Fyre Fest 2.0. I've been rooting for redemption. And boy, does mainstream media love to just take a hot one all over Billy McFarland. He tried his best, even though Mexican officials said they never even heard of the guy. He had a festival lined up. Sure, he only had one performer listed who was a, 100 millionaire who went bankrupt, who was, quit playing football, that being Chad Ochocinco. Yes, that's right. They had a wide receiver as their star entertainer. So not a good look for the DJs out there. Surely there are enough unemployed DJs that would have taken the gig. Either way, here's Good Morning America just really twisting the knife on the unsuccessful, or so far, Fyre Festival 2.0. Have a listen.
Let's try and buy a ticket for Fyre Festival 2.
We bought tickets to see for ourselves if Fyre Festival 2 would live up to McFarland's hype or whether it would flame out like the first one.
Jeez.
Well, $1,400 looks like the cheapest, and commercial flights are readily available, so I will try to do that.
The order went through, but we've received no information, and there's no customer service number to call, only an email address.
So, no, we did not purchase the $1.1 million Prometheus package. It didn't work out well for Prometheus either. Playa del Carmen is the second location to signal that Fyre Festival 2 is not happening. The original spot on Isla Mujeres said, for us, this is an event which does not exist.
That would have been quite an expense report.
Yeah.
I'm a little nervous.
I mean, this guy looks like a lot of fun, right? He pops a little Molly. We're here at Fyre Festival 2.0 in the Prometheus VIP section. Either way, again, I don't know. Maybe I'm delusional. Maybe I wasn't hugged enough growing up. I just want Billy McFarland to prove all the haters wrong. So what do we need to do to help Billy McFarland achieve his dreams? I mean, listen, honestly, all he wants to do is get people together so that they can have a few drinks and dance to some music, right? What island nation is going to pick up the slack and make Fyre Festival happen? Can we just get this going? All right, and can you get me some VIP tickets? All right, anyhow, so there's your update on Fyre Fest 2.0. Now we're going to get to White Lotus. All right, so did you watch the finale? Folks, it's their third season. They're running out of storylines, I guess. Every year they get to shoot at some great location. Now they're in, I think they were outside of Phuket. No, were they in Koh Samui? Either way, Thailand, I mean, if you have to travel anywhere, any of the Asian countries, I think Thailand has got to be one of the best. I'd love to go to Vietnam myself, not too far from there, but Thailand, the Thai people are great. The culture's amazing. The beaches, the food. Oh, the food. They have desserts for breakfast. Maybe it's just the resort I was at. Either way, Thailand, a beautiful place to shoot White Lotus season 3. Not everyone loves how it ended. It's hard to live up to the sort of hit sort of vibes from seasons 1 and 2, but I thought it was a good show. I mean, I fell asleep every episode, but that's because I watch it late and have an 11-month-old, so I'm just a tired dad. But that's not the point. I don't think I'm their demographic. Either way, we've got some of the actors commenting on why certain scenes were cut, and you have to remember, this is just the way filming works. So coming up next, we got White Lotus cast dishing on the scenes that were cut. All right, that's right. Fans are upset that some of the White Lotus scenes didn't make any sense. And that's kind of true. Like, there were certain scenes that literally went nowhere, but now we find out why. Here is Carrie Coons explaining some of the better scenes that were cut from White Lotus.
A lot of our material has been cut. One of the scenes from last night's episode was literally cut in half. So much of the material is gone. And that's just what happens when you're making TV and you're making it quickly and you have to cut for time and you have all these main characters and all the stories need to be served. There's a pickleball monologue that's gone too, but I doubt that's going to become clickbait. The reason it's not clickbait. Yeah, no, from Kate. It was Kate's monologue. most of the scenes with the women were some of the longest scenes in the scripts. Mike loves these women. He understands these women. I know. And we would just like sit around the table and talk, and our scenes were, they were long. And so that scene at dinner last night was probably twice as long as what you see in the show. It's sad because, Leslie's got great stuff. There's a whole dream sequence of Kate. Oh, now I'm outing even more stuff that's being cut. There's very...
All right, so look, I don't, in the world of unlimited bandwidth, why can't they make a director's cut version that's just super long? You don't have to color correct it or sound engineer it. Just show us the long scenes. You know what I mean? I love watching that stuff. Either way, White Lotus, think of it what you want. It's the golden age of TV. HBO's good. I've been watching the new seasons of The Righteous Gemstone. Holy cow, is Danny McBride good with The Righteous Gemstone. I mean, he is they're all good. Everybody on that show, the characters on HBO, there's nothing like it. And speaking of characters, we have a Blake Lively update. Now, this is called a blind item, which is a rumor that has not been substantiated. But when did that ever stop us from reporting on the news? Taylor Swift is not friends with Blake Lively, so says the blind rumor. We shared this story just yesterday that it appears as though Blake has apologized to Taylor, which might be the case. Of course, Blake used Taylor Swift as leverage in attempts to try to commandeer the film It Ends With Us from director and producer and star Justin Baldoni. So now we're finding out, and again, this might just be from the warring public relations departments, but we're finding out that Taylor Swift is saying, hey, we have not made up. Have a listen to this.
Blake Lively's team is working extra hard to make it seem like she is still friends with Taylor Swift, but according to this new blind item, that is allegedly not true, and Taylor Swift will not be seen with Blake Lively anytime soon, at least until all of this lawsuit drama is over. Everything in this video is alleged, not confirmation of validity of allegations. Speaking of leaks, don't believe the hype. There is no way that the lawyers of the A+ list singer want her having anything to do with the A- list actress until everything goes away.
I'm not saying I'm getting annoyed by this story, but can I do some sort of motion where we all work it out this weekend? Let's all go to Fyre Fest 2.0. I'll bring the Direwolves, and let's just figure this out. Let's get a judge to tell them to knock it off, and let's get some transparency. But either way, I do not imagine we'll be seeing Taylor Swift and Blake Lively sharing a VIP at Fyre Fest. I can assure you that that's not going to happen. But if you guys are wondering, our pal Leanne Newton is sharing the update of what to expect this week. And if we do get any of these court papers in a decent time, I will be sharing them on a live stream. Wednesday, tomorrow, Ryan Reynolds reply to Wayfair on his motion to dismiss. Then the next day, Jed Wallace replies to Blake Lively on his motion to dismiss. And then Friday, Blake Lively's reply to Wayfair on her motion to dismiss. That should be a good one. I'm assuming they'll all be good and juicy. But at this point, it's like, it's not going to get that interesting until we have either new evidence or depositions. All right, here's what's interesting. How about a little education with what's going on in the stock market? We had our biggest transfer or loss of investments on Thursday and Friday in our history. 6.6 trillion evaporated from the stock market, which I guess they're saying now is worse than COVID and 9/11. They just didn't have as much money in the stock market at that time. But now, after stocks fall 20%, you hear things called a bear market. So I figured we'd educate ourselves on what the heck that actually means. Have a listen.
Markets are melting down, and everyone is talking about a bear market.
The NASDAQ is in a bear market.
Now nearing a bear market.
On pace for a bear market.
But what exactly is it? A bear market is a 20% drop from a recent high. These steep market declines typically signal immense fear among investors about the health of the economy. Since 1929, there have been 18 bear markets for the S&P 500. The average drop, about 37%. Some bear markets were less severe, some more. Some of them, like in 1990, were caused by war. Others were fueled by the bursting of asset bubbles, like in 2000.
The internet mania was a giant bubble.
Toxic mortgages were to blame for the 2008 meltdown.
A breathtaking plunge for stock markets. The Dow drops by 800 points.
And a deadly virus crashed markets in 2020. This time, it's self-inflicted. President Trump's trade war has freaked out investors around the world, causing enormous losses in rapid fashion. For now, investors are selling first and they're asking questions later.
Now, I mean, the truth is, yeah, it's self-inflicted. And I mean, the greatest definition of gaslighting of all time. Donald Trump says the United States has a chance to do something that should have been done decades ago. Don't be weak. Don't be stupid. Don't be a panic can. A new party based on weak and stupid people. Be strong, courageous, and patient, and greatness will be the result. How insulting is this? You know, you'll see some people online, some politicians or some news pundits saying, hey, you know, be brave. Don't worry about it. We can all lose a few bucks, but it's like they're super wealthy. They're married to wealthy people. They're 100 millionaires. And it's like, all right, calm down. To a lot of people, this is their life savings. This is the only safety net they had. So I don't know if we're all being panicans, although I do believe Panikin at a Disco. I think they're performing at Firefest 2.0. But I mean, if I saw my grandfather or like my mom or dad post something like this, I'd be like, all right, it's time to take the car keys away. You know, like somebody's literally off their rocker. And yet we let the president get away with it, just making up words here. I don't know. It's pretty bizarre. I think, and again, by the way, it's not panicking. It's almost like when they say it's Trump derangement syndrome when you criticize the president. It's like, oh, yes, maybe everyone's deranged, or maybe our intuition is telling us we have an absolute moron, trying to lead us off of a cliff here. So, okay, maybe I'm just a deranged panican. I don't really know. It's like this. It's like, I know when, my football team is stinking, right? I'm a Patriots fan. They stink. We've had good days, but not so much anymore. And I can watch them lose and get their butt kicked, and it means it sucks, and I can call it out. Dude, our team blows. We got no offensive line. I miss Bill Belichick. Where's Tom Brady? We can't catch a pass. Now, that doesn't mean I'm panicking. That means I'm stating the obvious. And the obvious right now is that our country is heading quickly towards a recession, a completely self-inflicted and avoidable one. What will we do about it? That's the real question. And look, I'm holding space for people to decide to talk about it. Dave Portnoy, I interviewed him years ago. Say what you want about him. He'll always be honest and tell you what he thinks about something. And he's calling out the BS. And it's not just because he's lost 20 million of his own wealth. He knows he'll get it back. He's worth 10 times that much. He's not going to be selling. He's going to ride it out. But he's going to tell you, hey, this is dumb. What are we doing? Have a listen.
The midterm elections are like a year and a half away, I think. If the stock market sucks, there's going to be a blue wave. Like if the stock market is like what it is right now, and it's becoming close to the midterm elections, we will have like 100% Democrats. 100%.
And by the way, the blue wave is happening regardless of the stock market. It's happening for all the other chaotic reasons. And I don't want people, vote however the hell you want to vote. I have core values that I want to see people run for: Medicare for all, paid family leave, providing, help for our veterans, not going into new wars, basic things like that. I want politicians to run on those policies. Don't just run on Trump bad, be a panican. No, don't do that. Run on actual policies, bold policies that bring back some power away from the billionaire class, that bring back, the Constitution, the First Amendment, due process, the right to protest. I mean, get down to the basics, right? That's what I think would work. So yeah, he's Dave Portnoy went viral for losing $7 million the other day, but he says at this point it's about 20 million.
Because that's how people vote. And I would too. In a year and a half. I'm not in the panicking party yet. But if this tariff thing just is a total disaster, and we're a year and a half away from this thing, and stock market hasn't rebounded, and this trade war is a debacle, and inflation, everything's going to be in the shitter because of it, because of the tariffs. If that's the case in a year and a half, it's all Democrats.
That's true. That's true. And let's just hope they bring some bold policies, because there's plenty you can criticize about the Democrats, right? They've been controlled by corporations, just like the Republican Party. And I think it's time that we have some grassroots movements where people that get into office do so by speaking for the people and what the people want. Kind of a bold idea. I know. Call me a panican. Let's be honest, sometimes no matter how much you want to be in the mood, your mind and body just aren't on the same page. This episode is sponsored by Veya, the brand behind the most loved THC libido gummy on the market, designed to enhance intimacy, heighten pleasure, and help you fully embrace the moment. Originally created as a limited edition Valentine's release, High Love was such a massive hit that Veya made it a permanent part of the lineup, helping adults feel more connected than ever before. Veya legally ships nationwide, direct to your door, no medical card required, and backed by a worry-free guarantee. If you're 21 plus, check out the link to Veya in our description and treat yourself to Veya's annual Spring 420 sale. Black Friday level savings up to 35% site-wise right now, up to 50% off packs and bundles, and get a free gift and more savings with your first order using our exclusive code RUSHHOUR. Plus, enjoy free shipping on orders over $100. That's code RUSHHOUR at the link in our description. After you purchase, they ask you where you heard about them. Please support our show. Tell them we sent you. Enhance your everyday with Veya. And look, people have plenty of reasons to be upset about what's going on out there. I've been speaking more about due process or the lack thereof. Student visas being revoked, green cards being revoked, people getting deported and sent to foreign prisons who it's turning out have done nothing wrong and didn't get a chance to present their case to an immigration judge. We're seeing all of this play out. It is ripping apart the fabric of our democracy, and it means more to some people than it does to others. Well, now the Supreme Court of the United States is pausing an order to return a man mistakenly deported to El Salvador. But it doesn't mean they're not going to return him. They're just, I guess, trying to get some more information. I want to share this story. There's so much going on out there between the stock market and Firefest and all these crazy things, the dire wolf. There's so much going on that we cannot forget that there may be innocent people literally rotting or being tortured in a foreign prison due to our own government's incompetency, or maybe more sinisterly, just because they wanted to fill a couple seats up with guys who had spoke Spanish and had bad tattoos. But here is what Fox 5 DC has to say.
Chief Justice John Roberts issued what's called an administrative stay. It's a temporary pause that kind of freezes everything in place and stays or pauses Judge Paula Zinnis's order that would have required Kilmar Abrego Garcia to be returned to the United States by midnight tonight. This comes as the Department of Justice asked the Supreme Court to step in here and put that pause order in place. Now, the chief got this request because he's actually in charge of requests that come up from the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals, overseeing cases out of Maryland. And basically what happens now is he will refer the matter to the full court for consideration. And they seem to be interested in moving quickly here, sensitive to the timeline, because the Chief Justice called for a response by 5 o'clock tomorrow. But it turns out Abrego Garcia's legal team didn't need that long, because just minutes ago, they filed their response to the Department of Justice saying that this order should be allowed to go forward and that Abrego Garcia should be returned by midnight tonight in their filing. They called this a case one of one. This is a one-off, essentially, where the government admitted a mistake in deporting Abrego Garcia to his home country of El Salvador when there was an order from an immigration judge saying specifically that he cannot be deported to El Salvador.
Yeah, so it's ridiculous. And again, this is just one of the cases. There's plenty of cases where it's very clear that these folks should not have been sent there. And people that, don't look into these things, they go, well, what, do you have a problem with bad people being sent places? I have a problem when we don't have due process because, yeah, maybe some of them are bad guys, bad hombres, as they say, but maybe in some cases they're not. And if they come first for these Venezuelans that have funky looking tattoos, what's next? Who's next? And by the way, this Department of Justice is bad. A pardon attorney was fired by Trump, is now saying that Trump's Department of Justice sent armed U.S. Marshals to deliver a letter warning her not to testify before Congress about Trump's Department of Justice abuse of power. What? This is insane. Have a listen to this.
The letter was a warning to me about the risks of testifying here today. But I am here because I will not be bullied into concealing the ongoing corruption and abuse of power at the Department of Justice.
Somebody with a spine.
DOJ is entrusted with keeping us safe, upholding the rule of law, and protecting our civil rights.
Thank you.
It is not a personal favor bank for the president. Its career employees are not the president's personal debt collectors.
Wow.
I see only Democratic members here today, but this is not a partisan issue. It should alarm all Americans that the leadership of the Department of Justice appears to value political loyalty above the fair and responsible administration of justice. It should offend all Americans that our leaders are treating public servants with a lack of basic decency and humanity.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to follow all of this because it's like, what? We've got fired Department of Justice employees now speaking out, even though the marshals were threatening them not to talk when they're just sharing the abuses of power and corruption that's happening out there. What a wild time to be alive. Well, let's go back to tariffs real quick. Here's the TikTok deal. Trump says it might not be happening anymore. China changed the deal because of the tariffs. Now, of course, China issued reciprocal tariffs. Trump wants us all to believe that because we've put tariffs on people that they're just going to take it, right, on these different countries. No, even the countries full of penguins, they're issuing reciprocal tariffs on us, which is going to just really lead to insane prices for goods. And any reasonable person is just going to think twice before buying anything. I'm stuck with my iPhone 13 for a couple more years. Have a listen to this.
Sir, about TikTok, there was a report that there was about to be a deal, but China changed its mind because of the tariffs.
I'd say it was largely true. The report is that we had a deal pretty much with TikTok. Not a deal, but pretty close. And then China changed the deal because of tariffs. If I gave a little cut in tariffs, they'd approve that deal in 15 minutes, which shows you the power of tariffs, right?
All right. He's like, he doesn't lose. He goes, see, the power of tariffs. They cut the deal. We lost TikTok, folks. Well, it just goes to show the power of tariffs. What? Either way, here is somebody at Ford, a brief interview with a representative from Ford. Brian Kilmeade accidentally uncovered some of the complexities of international trade. Some auto parts just aren't made in the United States. Tariffs will increase prices. Ford makes cars in other countries, right? We have this idea that it's got to be made in the US of A, but really, not too many products are fully made here. Have a listen.
So one thing I've found out is that even though you're the most American-made car, we don't make everything that goes into that car. I mean, for example, leather seats. The best leather, we don't really do much for leather seats in mass production here in this country. You got to go elsewhere. Have you been able to explain that to the White House? You could have the best intentions, but you just don't have the material and the manufacturing here yet, and you don't want to be penalized.
Well, the used car market's probably going to be doing all right here. You know, a lot of used car salesmen are like, well, didn't these cars start to look good? I shouldn't have sold my 2004 Toyota Matrix. I should have held on to it. Hey, I got an old Prius. Maybe I should see what that's going for here. Does a used car count? You don't have to pay tariffs on used cars. We're turning into Cuba, I guess. They were worried about socialism and communism, but I guess it's going to be, you're going to see a lot of old Mustangs that we're repairing now. A lot of duct tape's going to be good. We're going to need duct tape to keep our iPhones in order. Okay, because we can't afford new ones. Okay, you get the point. All right, well, again, I'm not here fearmonger. It's just like I said, I'm in one of those fuck around, find out moods. Like, let's see how it all plays out. And I don't mean that from any place of satisfaction. It's a scary time out there. We're here to report on it. I appreciate you guys letting me give you the news as I see it with some opinions attached. And we'll be back this afternoon. As always, I'm Dave Neal, and this is The Rush.